Okay, the Golden Acorn. They went to bed subdued. Jack didn't go up to the loft. He was tired and needed a good night's sleep. He was woken early by a loud rasping noise coming from the garden. He squinted as he opened the window to find out where the noise was coming from. He finally located the sound. It was coming from the new tree by the shed. Grub was snoring. "Does he do that every night?" Jack asked Camelin at breakfast. "At night and most of the day he sleeps more than I do." "He doesn't snore when he's eating?" asked Charcoal. "That's something else he does more than me, too. You should see the amount of food he gets through in a day." Nora had insisted that they eat an enormous breakfast. "It's a long flight to Westwood. If you get tired and want to stop, we'll be right behind you in the car," Nora told them. "Now off you go and transform whilst Elan and I pack the boot. We'll take your clothes along just in case you get tired and want to lift back." Jack was used to transforming now. Each time it got easier, and the more he flew, the less he ached. He thought he'd probably suffer for a few days after a long-distance flight. This was going to be his first big test as a raven. When they flew down to the car, Charcoal was sitting on Elan's shoulder. "Are we ready?" Nora asked. Everyone nodded. Jack and Camelin set off across the fields. For a while, Jack could see Nora's Morris Traveler snaking its way along the roads, but soon it was lost from sight. Their plan was to fly in a straight line towards the river, then follow its course. It appeared suddenly over the brow of a small hill they'd soared over, and then meandered gently over the landscape. They flew past farms and what looked like endless patchwork quilt of greens, yellows, and browns. They saw a ruined abbey, remains of an old Roman fort, and several large hills. Jack was beginning to tire. "Do you know anything about Westwood?" he asked Camelin. "It's a bit like Glass Ruin Hill, only smaller. There used to be a portal there, but it got sealed up when the Romans came. It's not far now. See the trees over there? Come on, race you." It wasn't much of a race. Jack was out of breath when he finally landed next to Camelin, who looked pleased with himself for having arrived first. "Nora can't get the car up here, so we'll have to meet them down there in the car park," Camelin explained. They flew down and landed on the branch of a large oak tree. "This was once a hamadryad like Arana," Camelin explained. "Nora used to visit her before, but now it's just a hollow tree." The hollowness of the tree made Jack feel sad. He thought about Arana's plight. From their position, they could see the Morris Traveler winding its way along the country roads. It stopped next to a densely wooded area. Nora and Elan, with Charcoal on her shoulder, got out and disappeared into the trees. "That's where the Westwood Roost is," explained Camelin. "But there's not much point flying over there. They'll be back in the car before we arrive." It was a beautiful morning. The bright sunshine made Jack's eyes smart. He closed his eyes and almost fell asleep. "Here they come," croaked Camelin as he nudged Jack in the wing. "We'll go and say goodbye to Charcoal on our way home. Give him a bit of time to see all his family again." It wasn't long before Nora drove into the deserted car park. Jack heard a strange noise as they got out of the car. It was Charcoal. He was on Elan's shoulder, engulfed in steam, sobbing his heart out. "What's wrong?" croaked Jack and Camelin together. Charcoal couldn't speak. "They've gone," explained Nora. "His whole family has disappeared without a trace." Charcoal is the dragon, the little tiny dragon. The Westwood Roost. Jack and Camelin fussed around Charcoal. "What happened?" they both asked. "Gone," was all Charcoal could say, and began sobbing again. We found the roost without any problem, but as soon as we entered the cave, we knew Sharkle's family wouldn't be there, explained Nora. The smell inside made your nose curl, interrupted Elan. What kind of smell? Camelin asked. Hag smell, replied Elan. Her, Camelin croaked as he turned his head to one side and coughed several times. Hags, exclaimed Jack. You mean like witches? Not quite, continued Nora. Hags don't like sunlight and tend to live in dark places. They're not very big, about your size. As a boy? No, as a raven. You'd know one if you met one, and you wouldn't mistake their voices. Camelin thrust his head forward and made a strange, high-pitched sound, then continued describing hags in the same voice as he circled around Jack. They're really ugly. Got great beak-like noses, long claw-like hands and feet, a mass of purple-black hair which reaches the floor, and they're grossly messy. Sharkle choked back another sob. Are there hags still in the cave? Asked Jack. Hag, replied Elan. They live alone, don't get on with anyone. We think this one might be Finola Fitch. FF is scrawled on the entrance to the cave. She might be able to tell us what happened to the Westwood Roost and where they went, said Nora kindly, as she smiled at Sharkle before turning towards Jack. You ought to eat something after your long flight. Great, I'm famished, said Camelin. I wasn't talking to you. I didn't think you'd need any encouragement to eat. Let's go further up the hill before we unpack the food. Elan can go over to the roost and try to find the hag. I'll go and talk to the dryads in the forest. Someone has to know something about Sharkle's family. Can I come with you? Sharkle asked Elan. Nora scooped Sharkle up in her hand and brought him close to her face. You can come along with everyone later. Stay with Jack and Camelin for now. Bye, Mia and CJ. Love you.